I'm Jeff Slakey. I've got some great guests in studio today to talk about the Peninsula Railway and Lumbermen's Museum. Let's say good morning to Shelton City Commissioner Tracey Moore and Josh Kaivo. Good morning to you both.
Good morning.
Thanks for coming on the air and talking to me a little bit about this.
Thanks for having us in.
So we're talking about a newly formed group here, the Peninsula Railway and Lumbermen's Museum, and it's all kind of surrounds the Simpson Roundhouse, some of the rail here in town. Give us a little bit of a background, Tracey, on the impetus of this. How did we get things going?
Okay, well, I've been on before and talked about the efforts to convince Simpson to preserve the roundhouse and rail so that we could use it for the community ongoing, because it's such an important historical contributor to our past in our city. And so I worked on that for several years and got to the point where it was time for the city to accept, and the other commissioners were unsure enough. They were had too much trepidation, worrying about things. Mm-hmm. And so as soon as the city turned down the roundhouse, I had been talking with Josh and a number of other people through the years, and as soon as the city turned down the roundhouse, we immediately, the next week, Josh started forming the Peninsular Railway and Lumbermen's Museum, a nonprofit, with the idea that Simpson could potentially turn the properties over to a nonprofit so that the city of Shelton could still benefit from it.
Oh, okay.
The goal for Simpson was to give a great gift to the citizens of Shelton, and we think this way it can still serve that purpose.
Josh, what's your background in all of this? How did you decide to get involved?
Well, I mean, my personal connection with the Simpson Railroad is I was a Simpson Railroad employee for the last year and a half of its existence. I was the last mechanic stationed inside the roundhouse. I was responsible for maintaining the equipment, the locomotives, a little bit of car stuff. And of course, being as small as we were, I'd also work on the trains themselves. You know, moving the lumber back and forth in the mill site, working on the track. I've got kind of a lifelong love of logging railroads in general. Dad was very much interested in railroads, and he got me interested in a very young age. And I started getting involved with preservation, you know, working at the Mount Rainier Scenic Railroad as a volunteer, later the Northwest Railway Museum in Snoqualmie. Been a member of the Kitsap Live Steamers over in Port Orchard for about 17 years now, working on miniature railroads.
Wow.
Where we also get
very
public
nice
rides.
The Roundhouse right now is on Sierra Pacific property, or no anymore?
The Roundhouse is owned by Simpson still, and the property under the Roundhouse. The equipment in the Roundhouse is owned by Sierra Pacific, and we're hopeful that the offer will still hold, that they will give or sell at a good price that equipment to the new nonprofit. And Josh has taken over communications with Sierra Pacific. The big controversy for a while was the concern about would we have access, and I think that we have an agreement. It at least a preliminary agreement, and it may be some time before we're able to work out an agreement that will enable us to have lots of people in there, like tours and things, which is what we had initially hoped. But for now, we're hopeful if we can just work out the agreement to get the railroad and the excursion rails running with very limited access by the public.
Right. That Sierra Pacific, you know, they're more than willing to work with us. They realize the significance of these properties and realize the potential benefit for the community. It's just, like as Tracey said, it's one of those things where this facility, in order for it to be preserved, we need to continue it as a limited access support facility for an excursion service.
So I'd heard that this is one of the last ones in the country. Is that right? One of these types of roundhouses?
One of very few. In Washington State, there is one other one. It is currently in use by the Burlington Northern Santa Fe Railway. We lost a roundhouse down in Portland within the past 5 years. The Brooklyn Roundhouse in Portland was home to several large, famous steam locomotives, Southern Pacific 4449, SPNS 700. The next nearest one in the U.S. that I can think of is there's a couple down in California, and then the next nearest one would be Idaho, and they're very few and far between. I think the list of surviving roundhouses in the country it's less than 50. I know that.
The notes here you have for me say the Oregon coast draws 20,000 visitors a year. The Northwest Railway Museum and Mount Rainier, they're 40,000 a year. So there's a big opportunity for a lot of people to come into the Shelton Mason County area.
Yes, very much so. And all those people, they're going to come in. They're going to not only look at riding our attraction, they're going to look at other things to do while they're in town. They're going to look for places to eat, local shops, other local history, other local culture. I mean, there's a huge potential for some tourism draw.
So we have a long way to go to get to that hopeful end destination. You guys have got some new things online that people can find out at Peninsular Railway. There are 2 R's there, peninsularrailway.org, and also via the Facebook page. We'll post this interview on there as well, so you guys can link up with that. In the short term, what are you looking for help in the community? A desire that this is something the community wants? Some actual physical help or monetary?
Yeah, at this time, it's more, I guess, people voicing their support that they want this to happen. We do have, we've gotten some vocal support in that respect. Obviously, the Save the Simpson Facebook group is kind of where this all kind of started to come together,
Yeah.
and that was started by members of the community, and they were looking for people to lead it, and that's kind of how I got involved with that. For the immediate future, what we need is we're going to need help. We've got some. What am I trying to say here? Some paperwork and stuff that we filed.
Yep.
That we've got costs to cover, some overhead costs.
Sure.
And moving forward, we're going to need some costs to look at getting insurance, and if we get the property, we're going to have power bills, utilities, stuff like that. We are taking donations. There's a link on our website page for either PayPal or our local P.O. box for taking donations via check. Or if you find any one of us, I'm sure we can take a cash donation that way.
There's some help out there.
Yeah, it's not so much volunteers yet.
Just trying to get the word out there.
Yeah, it's spreading the word, gathering the support, and trying to build up a bank account to where we actually have a better position to take care of some of these things that we're looking at.
I think vocal support is very important too. I know we, for some reason, we've noticed that some people are reluctant to support this effort, and part of that is some misconceptions that were publicized earlier on about the state of the roundhouse, the potential liability for cleanup, which is not an issue at all.
Okay.
We have word from EPA that the site has no contaminants that they're concerned about at this time, as long as the roundhouse stays the way it is and has the same use on it. Some more of the misconceptions that were promoted were that the rails are in terrible shape and it would be completely inconceivable to maintain those, and that's not at all true.
Do you answer these questions on your website if people have concerns? These concerns?
That's part of this release that I gave you this morning. That's got some of the responses to some of those concerns on there.
But we definitely do have a very interactive website too, and so we do answer those questions. And I'd like to take just a minute to talk about our other board members, because we have a great. I know you're looking at your.
Well,
clock.
no, I just.
Hurry up, Tracey.
No, you're fine, Tracey. You're fine.
Is that we have a broad broad variety of our citizens that are helping us out with this. They're very committed to this board and to this project. We have Ginger Sessler from the Shelton School District. She's a school board member and very interested in the potential, as we all are, for educational excursions for school children, not only from here but from around the region.
Yeah.
Mike Lester is helping us out. He's our treasurer. He's a farmer's agent from Allen. Bill Bisaka, who's a train enthusiast from way back.
Oh, yeah.
Stothy Pappas, he's probably our most esteemed member of our board. He's got all kinds of degrees, and he has run successfully. Help me remember the name.
He was chief mechanical officer of Mount Rainier Scenic Railroad.
Oh, wow.
Most recently, the curator of large objects at the Northwest Railway Museum, and he left that position to take a position as vice president of the Cumbres and Toltec Scenic Railroad down in Colorado,
Wow.
which is in the preservation industry, that is one of the crowning jewels of preserved tourist railroads. It's 65 miles of authentic Colorado high country narrow gauge railroading.
Wow.
Yeah. So, but he is serving on our board both remotely and when he needs to travel here, he's committed to do that. We also have Daryl Lund, who's been very involved in railroading. He's a commissioner, or he's a councilman from Centralia and Chehalis, and has worked on the rail down there.
Oh, great.
Who am I forgetting? Nathan.
Yeah, Nathan Iverson is our secretary. He's more of a model train guy, but he's also volunteered at Snoqualmie and Mount Rainier Scenic Railroad. I guess he'd be the youngest one of the organization at this time.
And yeah. Joel Hawthorne, who is a train photographer extraordinaire. So
PeninsulaRailway.org, also Facebook.com/Peninsular Railway. We'll put those links into the show notes.
Great.
Tracey Moore, Josh Kaivo, thanks for coming on the air to
Thanks
talk
for
with me a
having
little bit
us.
about this. Keep us updated.
thanks.
We
Good to see you
Thank
guys.
you.
Do you know you have access to the fastest internet in Washington State? Switch to iFiber Communications right now and take advantage of our special offers. Pay only $29.95 for 100 megabit high-speed internet, or get 3 months of internet absolutely free. That's right, $29.95 for 100 megabit speeds or 3 months of internet free. Shop, stream, and game like never before with iFiber Communications high-speed internet. Call 360-427-4000 or check us online at ifiber.tv. Subject to credit approval, valid on a 24-month contract.